Hey, Sister
Hey,
Circle.
Sister Circle. Hope everybody is well today. As always, we thank God for the gift of life today.
Yes, I'm your little sis. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm your big sis. I am April, and we are the Sister Circle.
Yes. Sister Talk Network podcast.
Yes. Doing it. So what's on your heart today, darling?
Woo. So this one is uncomfortable. I put my socks on today. This is my little comfort right here, my socks.
I know that's right.
But I started thinking about all the things we don't talk about. All the things when I started thinking about just us being sisters and things you kind of wish you could go, stuff that you go to the wrong people to ask questions about.
For advice. Okay.
And the number one thing I feel as though that we don't talk about, or just in general, or we go to the wrong people, is sex.
Absolutely.
It's the thing that society has a chokehold on every generation to dictate to us what it is. And the only thing that I was brought up with is don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Yeah. Like, don't do it.
No explanation.
No explanation.
Yeah,
no tools on. It was that, and wait until you get married. It's like, okay, you wait until you get married, and then what? Because you ain't telling me nothing else. Now, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, you have no life skills. You have no roadmap, no direction.
No.
Just wait.
Yeah,
she went deep today, y'all.
And then they're telling women that, and I feel like it's not the same thing for men.
Oh, no.
Men is a notch on the belt. It's a conquering of a conquest. And the double standard. So it's like, okay, how are you telling me to save myself, but then not telling men to do the same thing?
Yeah.
It's a double standard.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, I can remember being a teenager and the same thing. Like, it's just, okay, for girls, we know how it goes. If you sleep with somebody or you sleep with somebody else, you get labeled the hoe. Where for if a guy, they can do whatever they want to do and there's no labels attached to that, so it's definitely a double standard. And like you said, growing up, it was just don't do it. I would have preferred somebody to help me understand the why too. Like, even if it was you giving me the cold hard facts, like showing me pictures of stuff, like that can happen if you might get something.
The Scare Straight program for sex, like you can come out with this. I mean, that would have did the job.
Yeah, I would have preferred that instead of just don't do it, and also preferred from a biblical standpoint. Understanding the why, because there's a reason, there's a reason, and it's just not just don't do it, just save yourself for marriage. Like, there's so many things that are attached to sex. Like, we talk about soul ties, which is huge, that a lot of people just don't talk about, where like every time you lay down with somebody, whatever is in them, like there's a transfer. And particularly for women, because like there's not really a transfer necessarily from us to them as much as it is from them to us. Yeah. So that's huge. Like, I wish somebody would have talked about that. And not just that, but in waiting, we discover, or we have time to discover, what God's plan is. Like, because, and I was listening to your boy. Yeah. Michael Todd, shout out to him. And he was talking about that, like, the promise is revealed during the process. So if we right away just jump right into what we want to do, and not just in sex, it can be in anything in life, then we don't give God the time or opportunity to really show us that path. So now he has to redo things to work it all together for your good. Right. Because we messed it up, basically.
And I love, because you don't see... I think he is. He's the first pastor that I've seen pay tribute to his wife in a sexy way. Where it's just like, oh no, you bad. Oh, you gorgeous. Oh, look at this. Look at what my wife working with. And I know he gets a lot of condemnation for that. Okay. But this is what I'm not even in a young generation no more, but that's what we needed, because it shows the model of what a marriage is supposed to look like and what it looks like when it's healthy.
Yeah.
And I just want to commend him for that so much, because I know he's getting backlash for that. And there's so many times where God checks me because I want to be in the comments like, that's my big brother. Like, what did you say?
Right.
But yeah.
That's good. That's good, because ultimately, and we've talked about this before, we want affirmation that, oh, you look good. You look nice today. You know, like those compliments. And kudos to him for doing that, because what if somebody out on the streets was giving his wife those same compliments?
Yeah.
Like we want those things from our spouse.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's definitely a good one. And I'm happy that he touches on topics that other people wouldn't even touch.
Because when he talked about, the one thing that stood out for me, and I didn't even hear it until he said it, and I'm like, well, I'm married now. Where were you at?
Yeah.
Years ago. But he talked about, when he talked about the soul ties, he put an illustration out there of, you don't want to deal with this person's crap on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
But then you dealing with their spiritual crap.
Not even thinking about it like that. Yeah, but nobody talked about that. You know?
It was just, don't do it.
Yeah, and we didn't realize that, or I would say I didn't realize that until you start to wonder, okay, well, what's this all about? You know, like you start to feel things, or, you know, have emotions, or you're seeing things and you're like, no, this is not me.
Yeah.
Like where you're dealing with someone else. And the soul tie in a sense of, I can't break free from this person. Like even when it's over, or it should be over.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm stuck. I can't
like,
do
I'm
it.
not. And I remember having this conversation with my girlfriends. I'm not putting nobody out there. I said I'm a vote. So if you come to me and you tell me something, I'm holding, but you won't know who you are. But like, I remember having this conversation and she was like, well, I'm going to go back to an ex because I want my number count to stay under 5.
Ouch.
Ouch. But I understood where she was coming from. It was just like, this is a toxic ex who you almost got a restraining order on, but you gonna go back. I said, so what if his demons got stronger since the last time you dealt with him? Is that something you willing to deal with?
Think about that.
Because I remember this person, I remember the stronghold, and I remember everything it took for her to get through that. Heck, me and her, because I was up praying for her too. Yeah. So I'm like, so now you gonna go do this and you dragging the both of us through this? So now I gotta beat you behind.
Yeah, that's what we're not gonna do.
Yes, but I remember I had one toxic ex, and I remember you was like, I don't even know why he here.
I didn't like him at all, sisters.
And I remember the last conversation that I had with this person, I was finally able to see it. And you know what? To him and his mother, because his mother was a piece of work. But the one thing I said to him was, I don't want to have kids with you. Yeah, and I was like, I don't want, like, at that point, I knew. He knew I was getting ready. I was out the door. So that's the only thing that he had left to hold over in my head. And I was like, I don't want that. That how we talked about bloodlines. I don't want that bloodline because your mama crazy, you crazy, and how many other people are we gonna dig up skeletons and find out how deep this really goes? You're not just dealing. I know we talked about. You're not just dealing with that one individual. You're dealing with all their crap. You're dealing with whatever came with them, and then you're dealing with whoever they've been with before.
Right. That's a whole different issue. Like you don't know the women that they've been with, so now we just have this plethora of stuff that we don't understand where it came from. But transparency moment, I have done that. I have dipped back. Yeah. You know, like, of course, before I got married, because, you know, my husband is my husband and it's solid. But I have dipped back to an ex because it's like, oh, no, we not jumping that
we not, you're not about to... You're not about to be able to call like, I know she been with this person. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Because we going to keep this number the same.
Guilty. But in hindsight, of course, it was a dumb mistake. Because like you said, you don't know. First off, you don't even know what that person's life is at the moment. Yeah. Nor did I consider it. And what he's done in between this time, you know. But they're willing. Come on. You know, come on back.
Yeah. So, and I know one of my girlfriends talked about how she called this, it wasn't related to sex, but she called this, she said how like this woman was, she's going to crack up when she hears this. But she was talking about how like this woman was dressed in Gucci. She had the labels on, and she was like, and I'm sorry, Sister Circle, but I gotta say this exactly how she said it.
But there she go. Clutch your pearls. Clutch your pearls.
She was like, you are a finely pieced, a gorgeous piece of perfectly wrapped shit.
Oh wow!
And it was just like when she said it, I was like, ooh, cause like I wanted we have a checklist of what our husbands like, you know, and they always, you dream about your wedding, you dream about the person you're gonna marry. So it's like, oh, he gonna have this, and this, and this. He gonna be 6'2". He gonna have a body. He's gonna be this, and it's just I used the definition, and I remember I was telling you the enemy uses men.
Yes.
I ain't say it like that, but I can't say
that.
How what I said.
She said the enemy uses ninjas, y'all.
And he do. But you think that, prime example, the enemy will test you because he knows your blessing is coming. And the closer you are to your blessing, the more the enemy tries to tempt you. Yeah. Do you know that toxic ex came right before I met my husband?
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad he did not win.
Oh goodness.
Woo. The prayers of the righteous availeth much. Thank you, Lord.
Crazy mama, he might have had a chance, but it was just like, had I just, I think I really want to portray that out there, that you're looking at the outer appearance of, oh, he's this, and he may look like he has everything together. And that's why I'm hearing on social media too, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to have sex on the first date because I want to know about this, and this. I want to know if they know what they're doing. Well, if they know what they're doing, how much practice have they had in figuring out what to do?
Exactly.
And regardless, everybody's body is not the same. So they might know what to do with this one, but she's not built like you. So then they really don't even know what they're doing.
They don't have a clue. But like you said, these are all the things that I wish somebody told us growing up. So these are the things that we can break the chains with our children.
Yeah, because my only education was in health class. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, because with us, it was one of those things that, oh, you just don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it, and I guess just hope it doesn't happen, which is the wrong thing to do, because you always have some little boy, and now, you know, some little girl, because the girls is something too, in their ear, you know, and kids are curious. Like some of the stuff that I hear now, like I remember when, I don't know if I told you this, my goddaughter was a young teenager, and she's coming to me and she's telling me about something that she saw in school, which was a sexual act, like somebody, you know,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, in the computer lab where the desks go up. And it's like, you hear these things and you have to try not to sound like you're shocked, because you want them to still continue to come to you. But I was able to have a conversation with her and to talk to her, like with her mom's approval, in a way that made her say, no, I'm good. Yeah. But it's just like it's just a totally different time. There's no respect, no value, none of that. No.
And if you don't, I remember both of our parents telling me, well, don't let nobody do this. Don't let nobody treat you any type of way. Okay, but how?
Yeah.
How do I command that respect? Right. How do I, like, even in my marriage, like, okay, how do I get the point of cross of, this is a deal breaker for me. This is not something I'm willing to negotiate. Okay, you're angry, take 10 minutes, but we're not going to raise our voice. You're not going to talk to me like that. Like, what's your standard, and then how to stick to that standard. And it was like, okay, don't have sex. Okay, this I wanted to portray myself like perfect. So it was just like, okay, well, here we go with the box again. I'm sticking inside this box, but I don't even know why I'm doing it. And for my kids, I don't want them to listen to me because I said so.
Right.
I want them to have those values for themselves. Yeah. Now, what you do with it, you're going to have to deal with the repercussions. And I'm going to explain to you what the repercussions are. So that way, in any situation, sex or otherwise, once you make that decision, it's yours.
Yeah.
It is yours.
Yeah. But just keeping that open door of communication, I think, is so key.
Yeah.
And allowing them to express. And, you know, if it gets to the point where, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so then I need to help you out with making sure you're safe. Because sometimes kids are, you know, and especially boys. One of my girlfriends talked about it, you know, with her son, where it's like he made his decision. Oh, yeah, mom, I'm going to do it anyway. But they had that open communication. So she's like, what should I do? I'm like, you need to get him some condoms. Yeah. If he's saying he's going to do it anyway.
I better believe him.
He's going to do it. He may have already done it, you know. So it's, get him some condoms and continue to pray about it. But we have to use wisdom. And I think that's what has been lacking. It's like you want to turn a blind eye and act like this is not happening. But if it's happening, okay, now what do we do in a practical sense?
Even sex within my marriage and like how it transfers.
How it shows up.
For instance, if my husband has an open door or if he's been around a certain group of people and I don't pray over him beforehand, then I'm trying to sit up there and I'm trying to figure out, because we already deal with anxiety and depression. So then I'm trying to figure out, okay, I've been working hard on making sure that I don't feel like this. So what is this?
Yeah, what is this?
Because sometimes, you know how we both go through this. You know how somebody is staying at your house and you just like, somebody left something there and you be like, I didn't leave this here, so whose is it? It's the same thing with us. Like I'm like, I know I've been doing the work. I know I've been keeping a clean house. So whose crap is this? Because it's not even mine. And then I'm looking at him like, okay, what did you do? What did you do? What door do you have open? Because now I got to deal with some crap that's not mine.
That's true.
So it's not even, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, well, I waited to have sex until I got married and then feeling like they're safe. No, you're still not safe. There's still work to be done.
Yeah.
And then there's work to be done in picking the right person. Because it's not just about, a lot of people will rush into getting married just so they can have sex. Right. You cannot do that, because then you still might marry the wrong person.
And that's where it comes in, where I was telling you, Michael Todd was saying that the promise is discovered in the waiting and the process. So if we make a rash decision, and people do, especially Christian people, for sure, like they want to have sex, so they just get married, and then again, God's got to try to work it all together for your good. But it's because we again try to do things in our own strength. Like just like we invite the Holy Spirit in for other things, it's like, okay, I can't do this. God, I need you to help me to do this. Because we just can't do it in our own. There's no way you could do it on your own to try to wait for something like that. But think about all of the blessings that we may have forfeited or delayed because we didn't allow the process to go as God wanted it to go. Me, because I know, like that there was a lot of things that God wanted for me, but because I was moving in my own way and in my own strength, some of those things did not happen, and some of them are delayed or showing up differently. So like now I feel like, and we talk about all the time, he's trying to play catch up for all the stuff I messed up. And getting it right. And it's okay. Like none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes, but when we know better, we do better. And for our kids, we can change the narrative. And that's what this is all about.
And even finding somebody to talk to. Like, I feel like parents is like your number. Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Especially depending on, and I will say this, Emma, they gonna get me. But that's one thing that I admire about my in-laws is their sex life.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Because they're both saved. They both have a beautiful spiritual life, but they honor one another. That's good. And that's something I didn't see in my household. Yeah. It was hidden. It was, we don't talk about this. We're not showing up. We don't show affection in this house at all. Okay. So like, you'll see my husband's dad chase his wife around the house and be like, "Oh, you look good today, girl. Come here." And it's like, it's so cute. And that's a generational curse or a generational thing that I didn't have to break for my kids, because it was already broken because of who God placed in my life. Yeah. And it was like, oh, look at God. I didn't even have to do that when I'm got my checklist of stuff that I'm trying to break chains on. Right. And I didn't even have to do that because of who God placed in my life, of like, oh no, your kids is going to have a healthy foundation. And I remember when when me and my husband, we were dating, and I couldn't figure that out. Like, I could not figure that out. And even now, because I'm like, what is this? Shoot, it's been 8 years of marriage, and just even communicating, I feel like it's taboo. We don't teach. Well, women aren't taught to communicate their needs in the bedroom. Yeah, so it's just like we're taught to serve a man in every aspect of life, but where am I getting served? Yeah. When do my needs get met? Yeah. And even coming to him and be like, I don't know who you did that. I don't like that. Don't do that no more.
But do you think we're that way because we think it questions their masculinity? Like, if we speak the truth for what we want?
I feel like if it's the wrong person, it can. Okay. I feel like if I had done that in my other relationship, he would not have been able to handle that. Yeah, to understand, or even to care to understand. Because it's like, I got what I wanted. You on your own. I'm good. Yeah. But in this, it's like, okay, well, you stuck with me, so we gonna have to figure this out together. To open it up, I remember and when we did premarital counseling, that was one of the things that we talked about. That's awesome. I commend them for being so open and talking about it. And they challenged us with asking each other, what did we like? Yeah. What did we want to try? And letting it be a communication of, okay, this is something I'm willing to do, or no, you gotta take that off the table because this ain't gonna work. Yeah, for me. But it opened up the communication for us, so we had that foundation of, we could go to each other. And a lot of times I would go to my husband and I'll be like, well, is there anything that you want to try? Is there anything that you want? Are you satisfied? Is everything good? And if you don't ask me that question back, we got a problem. Yeah. So it's just like, okay, ask me, because I got some stuff. I got some stuff. But it was an easier way to open it, because if I ask you first, then I get to listen and see how you feel about it. Right. And then I get to say, well, I love this. And then tying it in, in counseling, they taught us how to sandwich it. Like, give a positive, give what you want to fix, and then give another positive. Yep. They hear the positive, they don't really hear the negative, and then later on they're like, oh, well, she said this. It's like the soften the blow. It's not so hard. Yeah,
but that's where the whole everything you just said, I'm like cracking up in my head, because that's where the generation gap comes in, because your generation is completely different. Like, everything you want is going to be conveyed. My marriage counseling looked nothing like that, Sister Circle. No, it looked nothing like that. But I wish it had. Yeah. So what ends up happening is it takes years of being married to get to a place of being comfortable to say, hey, like this is, but then by then it's like, oh, I thought we was good, so we shouldn't even be having this discussion. But those things are so important.
And I feel like you should have that conversation if you're not having it often, it's said that every 5 years somebody changes.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I feel like every 5 years you should be having that conversation.
That's
Shoot,
true.
I had that conversation every kid. Like, listen, when you get in here, everything is shifted. It's not the same, especially after my first one. Like, listen, ain't nothing where you left it.
Yeah.
Don't even look there.
Yeah,
it's a wrap. And then even our bodies changed. So I went into, when we were dating, I had a 6-pack.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I was strutting any room like, yeah, look at me. I put the spray on glitter like, yeah, I'm good. I know I'm cute. And then now it's like, after my first child, I was 215 pounds. I was coming to bed with a robe on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know this body. No, they don't. They don't.
They really don't.
I ain't have no wig on. D'Angelo cornrows, bonnet on.
You always talk about
like,
those
yeah,
cornrows.
he didn't care.
Yeah.
That's the difference with him. He didn't care then. He cares now.
Okay.
Like, now I can't come to bed. Well, I still do. He say I can, but I'm like, prove it.
Said who?
Because I will come to bed with a bonnet on and he's like, nah. So it's like, now, in order to excite him, I gotta be cute too. So I'm like, all right, well, this goes both ways. Go pull them silk boxes out the closet, because you're not gonna give me the same boxes that you wear at work and then come to bed and think that I'm just going, you gonna tap me and I'm gonna roll over. It's not.
It's not working.
No, it's not going. You want cuteness. You want me to smell good. All right, go pull that curve out of the closet. I want the same thing.
But I think it's so great that you waited, first off, or God worked it out where you got the mate that you were supposed to have. That's a beautiful thing.
I could have kept playing with knuckleheads.
Yeah, exactly. And that just speaks to, again, us waiting for God. And it's hard. Like, if we're going to be honest, it's hard and we can't do it on our own. But the importance of that is now we don't have to go through the struggle of trying to figure things out. You have that communication and those things. And don't get me wrong, like, for anybody who may not have waited and you have a situation that may not be ideal, like I said, like we say, I still believe that God will work all things together for your good. And that if we seek him first, that he'll take care of everything else. And it's just praying over those things, submitting those things to him, and letting him do the work that we can't do.
Yeah. I remember getting a confirmation about my husband. When I tell you, God allowed me, he was like, okay, this is the one before him. He's like, this is what you want. The ties that I had to break in order for me to, first of all, not even just get away from that relationship. Because of that, my husband had to go through hell, like a spiritual hell, in order to get to me. Because I was just like, the enemy might have sent you too. I'm done with everybody.
Yeah, I'm scoring.
So it was funny because he thought I was testing him, and I'm like, you really have to understand the last relationship I went through. You had to go through God to get to me.
Yeah.
I remember I was going to a church service, and I was still getting tormented because remember I was on my sister's Verizon plan for my cell phone.
Burner phone.
And I literally, shout out to my cousin, because he'd be like, oh Lord, she dead. Like, she got her number changed again. But I remember I called you and I was like, I just got my number changed. And you was like, what? But it was funny because you was like, oh, now I know you done. Because you changed the number. He was calling mom and dad. Like, you bold, you gonna call my daddy? Like, you crazy.
Yeah, he is. Was.
He still is from the grapevine, still is. But even I was going to church, and I remember my husband called me. He's like, oh, I want to see you. Now, there was a 45-minute drive just to come see me. So I'm like, okay, you really do want to come see me because you want to take that drive. But I was like, if you want to come, you're going to have to find me in church, because I had plans to go. Okay. And he thought I was testing him. I had told God, and God is hilarious, because even when he told me, I was like, you sure? Because it was Vandy Coulter's church. I love him and his wife too. I love their marriage too, and how their dynamic is. So I respected his opinion on men because he was street smart. I'm not street smart at all. I can't tell one from the other. So I was at church, and Warren pulled up to the church, and we're sitting there. Vandy jumps off the pulpit and says, "My husband's nickname."
Oh, so he really knows.
Yeah, it says, "Is that you?" And I'm like, okay, who are you? And who sent you?
How do you know?
Yeah. And I remember Vandy saying to me, and Warren wasn't around, and I remember him saying, he was like, if you decide to go with this one, I can guarantee you're safe. But it wasn't him saying it. It was God saying it. And I was like, this is the confirmation I didn't even ask for. Like, I wasn't looking, and I want to really, because everybody like, oh, that scripture, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. First of all, if you already have once you're working on yourself, you already have those qualities of a wife, regardless if somebody chooses you or not. And I remember telling one of my girlfriends that's not married, and she was just like, well, I just want to be a wife. I'm like, honey, you already are one. You already have those qualities of a wife. Now that husband just got to find you. So she's doing such an amazing job, and I was like, I need you to stay where you are. And my life is a prime example of, he found me. I wasn't looking for him, to the point that even when he came, I still was like, I
ain't sure.
God, tell me again. Like, I'm not moving, because I didn't want to go through what I had already went through before.
I'm glad. I am glad. And I pray that for all of us, like, just from this point on, that we will understand that the promise is discovered in the process, because God says clearly he knows the plans he has for us. His thoughts and his ways are not our thoughts and ways. So just waiting for whatever, like, it doesn't even have to necessarily be sex, like I said, but just waiting and allowing the Holy Spirit to come in to guide. Like, the Bible talks about the fruit of the Spirit. One of them is patience. Like, we have to have patience in the process. And it's hard, but we can't do it. We can't do it. And we have to stop trying to do things in our own strength.
I can't even do that. How we talk about food. You know how many times I've ordered food, and I'm like, you see everybody else plate go by, I'm like, oh, that's what I ordered. But somebody ordered the same thing. You're like, oh, that's mine.
But he was talking about that as well, Michael Todd, on the same episode. He's like, now we want everything quick. We want the convenience. Uber Eats, Grubhub, Amazon Prime, Amazon in 2 hours. The whole process of waiting for anything has just gone by wayside.
And COVID made it worse. Because now, Target delivers, and Target is really good, y'all, because they will give it to you in 2 hours. Wow. They at your door. Y'all don't get me for this. Don't judge me. The liquor store delivers.
Oh my goodness. Well, that started during COVID.
Yes, you spend more than $65. They is at your door, and you just gotta show your ID. You gotta show your ID. It's not when you stuck in the house with 3 kids.
The convenience of it all.
Like, I could pay $65. I paid more than that when I was at the bar, so I could pay $65 getting my wine, and it's like a wine. I mean, they always had like the wine subscriptions, and they had but it's like I can literally. Or even like for events, because like I know we had barbecues and stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't feel like going to the store, so if I do it that morning or the night before, you can schedule it.
Yeah, like, let me get a couple bottles of wine. We were ordering from Applebee's a couple weeks ago, and I'm online. I'm like, oh, you can get drinks to go. And I said, when did this start? I'm like, oh, COVID.
And there's a bartender, so there's like 3 bartenders in this area. That one of them, I'm gonna put her I know she wouldn't mind, so I'm gonna put her information below, because I'm telling you, she's absolutely amazing. But now she makes other stuff too. Okay. So she makes mocktails that taste like alcohol, and because a whole lot of people's getting pregnant during COVID. I got pregnant twice. Right? I'm like, I just thought about that. Like, when we go to the doctor's appointments, they're like, wait a minute. They look at the ages of the kids, and they're like,
you back again?
You was pregnant twice during COVID? Yes, I was. But she has a van, and she was the bartender. She was like, I don't know what to do because everything shut down. So she started a business, and she was the one. She was mixing your drinks, and she was putting them in there, and she would drop them off and put them right at your
delivering little pouches of alcohol.
Yeah.
mixed drinks. Well, I think I saw somebody doing that before too.
But
So she was.
it's so smart though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if you're a bartender and COVID comes, you have to figure out reinvent yourself, like to make sure your business still keeps flowing.
Yes.
So cool.
I definitely commend her for that one.
Yeah.
And now she does detox teas.
Okay.
She does like this infused lavender tea.
Yeah. So she's expanded her market.
Yeah.
Now that she has her clients. So after you drink, you're going to need to detox a little bit.
Like, yes.
So here you go.
She does when it has CBD in it. So, I mean.
She got all the bases covered.
Yes. Yes. She has it all covered. I loved what you said about it just not being pertained to sex and just having, like, just being able to wait. And even with this, like, you know, there's so many businesses that we want to do and there's so many ideas we have and waiting until everything lines up.
Yeah, until God's timing. Like,
yes.
Just think about for us, and I was actually thinking about this a couple weeks ago and feeling overwhelmed. Like for all of the things that God has showed us over the last year and a half. And it's all written down. And I'm like, but God, when? But God, when? But God, when? It's like we want things instantaneously because he showed us something. So it's like, okay, when? But think about how many times in the Bible, I think David is one instance where God shows you who you're going to be, and then you go back to the field and just keep working. And we're gonna work
that whole
this out
story
later.
pisses me off. Somebody else was just talking about that, or they showed him being amongst kings, and then made him go back and tend to the sheep. Like, you want me to do what?
Yeah.
Who was it? I think there's a podcast called Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm gonna tag them. They are. He is absolutely.
I didn't see that.
Amazing.
Okay.
But and as we talked about spouses, it just pertains to this so much.
Okay.
He talks about the vulnerability. I just got chills because the vulnerability of a black man to get on a podcast every week. I just yeah.
So what is he catering it more to women? Like what is he
Both.
talking about?
Both.
Okay.
He brings on, I love how he brings on couples. He has them talk about like how they met, what mistakes did they make.
Yeah.
And there's this one couple, she left him. She, after like a crazy amount of years, don't kill me off, I'll get this wrong, but it was like 20 some years they were married.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, I'm out. And he was like, you out after that amount of time? But he got her back. They had to get remarried.
Wow.
Because she was just like, no, I'm out. You think I won't leave?
Yeah.
But I love the platform that he has. I love the honesty.
Yeah.
And I would like he's one of them people where I wish that I had seen that sooner.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna say I didn't see healthy relationships, because I did, but I didn't see the relationship that I wanted.
Right.
Like I had this idea of what I wanted my marriage to be, and I didn't have anybody to
paint that picture
to really model it after. But I will say this, and this is a tribute to, first of all, your husband, and then our cousin Damon.
Yeah.
Because one of my prayers, and I'm shook because I'm just now remembering it, and I was young. I'm like freshly a teenager.
Okay.
And praying over who God was going to have as my husband. And it's hilarious because me and my husband laugh about this all the time, because I was just like, I want somebody who's going to stand up for me and our family, who's going to be a little bit hood like my brother-in-law, just like, you ain't, don't start none, won't be none. But I wanted him to dress and have the style and the mannerism of our cousin Damon.
Oh yeah, you definitely got a good mix.
And I got, like, when I tell you,
yeah,
if you wanted to describe my husband, them two
definitely
together
got a good,
is it. And like even the business mind of our cousin and the street smarts of your husband. And even like you, sometimes we laugh because it was like, I don't always see that, but the soft heart that your husband had with me and like my upbringing, it was just like even how, and I loved how, like, even when I was growing up, Because I don't remember him not being here. Like he
was there for most of your life.
Yeah, because my husband was asking me, he was just like, well, how long has he been here? I'm like, can't remember a time he really wasn't.
Yeah.
But I remember just how y'all two would greet each other. And y'all were the only people I seen like that. I didn't see that type of love, or I didn't see that type of model
affection.
Yeah, I didn't see it. It was
that's true.
It was like a hey, how you doing?
Right.
It was a communication affection with, like, you know, our parents. They would ask how each other
but
was
not
doing.
The public,
like how are you doing? And that stands to what they went through in their own childhood.
Right.
But not seeing that, it was just like, okay, well, I wanted something different because I didn't know I was affectionate until I got with my husband, and it's just like I didn't even know this side of me. Yeah. Didn't even know.
There. So he's able to pull those things out of you. So that again speaks to waiting. Yeah. Sacrifice. Obedience. We hear obedience is better than sacrifice. So I've had a little bit of both. But the sacrifice is worth it. But as we wrap up, and I'll let you say what you have left too, but as we wrap up, just understanding that we can't do these things on our own. Yes. We can't do anything in our own strength. So recognizing that and inviting the Holy Spirit in, and I know I've said that a couple times, and I'm going to say it again, to help. Holy Spirit is our helper, because otherwise, basically, we screwed. Yeah. Can't do it. Point blank, period.
And it's being honest. I feel like there has to be a sense of rawness to what we actually want. Yep. Because God knows your heart.
Anyway.
And it's just like, rather you say it or not. It's like, you can't say, oh God, I want him to go to church every day. I want him every time there's a service. And then when you actually go into church every service, you mad.
You don't want to do that.
This is what you asked for.
Yes.
So like being honest of, what do you really want? Because God built you anyway, so he already knows I created you this way.
He knows. I can't think of who I was talking to, and they were telling me something about, like that was going on. It's like, oh God, forgive me, but, and they started to say how they were feeling. I'm like, he knows anyway. So you may as well just go to him in prayer and say, this is how I'm feeling. I need you to help me. Because why are you going to go and pray something completely different? Yeah. What you just said. Like, it makes no sense at all. Yeah. No sense at all.
Like, if I'm going to be honest, at least I need to be honest with the person who created me.
Yes. Because he knows all anyway. Yes. All right. So we need to start to wrap up, sister.
Yes. So we want to know, what does a sister mean to you? What is sisterhood? So I'm gonna ask my sister first. Okay. So what does sisterhood mean to you?
Sisterhood to me means love. Like when I think of sisterhood, I just think of a big open heart that's just like full of love, like overflowing, like a big heart, little hearts coming out. That's sisterhood to me. What about you, sis? What does it mean to you?
I think of safety.
That's
I
good.
think of like really no judgment. Yeah. Because people will say no judgment and then go on the phone like, oh, guess what? Like, no, I really mean no judgment.
That's a good one because that's a good one because as women, we are guilty of, or I have been guilty of in the past. I'm deliberate in not being that way. Now of you say, what is it, girl? What is it? And in my mind, like, oh, that's too much. But just being non-judgmental and understanding that we all have our issues, So that safety is important. Yeah. So we want to ask you as well. Tell us in the comments, what does sisterhood mean to you? Yes. We want to know. And I think we are going to wrap up there. Yes. So
thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you as always for joining us. Share with a girlfriend, share with one of your sisters, anyone that can benefit from this message, which is definitely pertinent. I think we all need to hear something that was said today. So have a good rest of your evening, and we will see you soon.
See you.
Bye.